Now, you put this in the oven? You don't put it in the oven.
No, you don't.
Now,
and I'll tell you what you do put it in. Here it is. The dishwasher.
Actually?
Truly, absolutely true. Now, I give you my word that an hour before the show started...
It's true.
We cooked exactly that meal in this dishwasher on the full cycle, mind you. Now, on the full cycle.
The water and...
Everything. Yeah, no rinse.
No rinse?
No, and no soap.
But the drying and all
But everything, the whole bit. Now, here it all is. There are our dishes.
And they're hot.
Now, they're hot, and we hope they're done. And I'm sure they are done because we've tried it, and it was successful. And we'll take a look first at the
Why do you use a dishwasher? Just to,
Because it steams and it heats, and fish is one of the few things. You couldn't do, meat or anything like that in it.
So
But fish cooks in only a very short time, and it really is kind of beautiful. Look at how beautiful that is.
Now, look at that.
Huh?
That has been done.
Yes.
It's all hot.
Is it?
How now? Yeah, now you leave that in the whole
Yes, you leave
cycle.
that. Now, if you go over there, I'm going to bring you a little sample.
All right.
Want to take the wine with you, Johnny?
No, I think I've had enough.
Why don't you drink it here?
Getting
Huh? Now, let's see. First, we'll bone a little. Oh, look, isn't that beautiful? Look at that.
Oh.
Look at that flesh, come on.
Do you bone that well? That's the thing that I don't know how to
Well,
do.
that's just something you have to learn how to do. I've been married so many times, I've learned how to bone anything.
I should be good at this then also.
I was thinking you should be just
Now
about the
that's-
same amount of good at it as I am. Now, you put that aioli sauce on
Yes,
there.
yes.
Now, take that over, and I'll bring over... Let them try, huh?
All righty.
And I'll bring over something in a minute.
You want a little fork here? This is trout. Has lemon in it, dill.
Welcome, spook girls and spook boys, to Flyby Films, a once or twice a month podcast where, using the magic of distance-defying tubes or veins or whatever bloody analogy you want, or some shit, my friend Blake and I get together to discuss films that either have been or will be forgotten. Right now, we are in the thick of the Flyby Films Spooktacular Festival of Spooks, and we are discussing the 7 Deadly Sins as factored through the movies of Vincent Price. So, Blake, welcome to the show, and what films are we going to be discussing today?
Well, good sir, we are going to be discussing the film House of Wax, starring Vincent Price, surprise, surprise, and Wrath. No, Madhouse, which is representing Wrath. Both of which are very... well, House of Wax is classic, but Madhouse is kind of a deeper cut. Probably for good reason in some ways. But yeah, we're going to be watching these two and discussing those.
Yeah, and I think
we're not going to watch them on the pod.
That would be boring. We watched them ahead of time.
We watched them ahead of time, but then we're going to talk about them.
Yes, I think you mentioned Madhouse represents the 7 Deadly Sin, Wrath.
Yes.
And House of Wax, I don't think you mentioned, but this represents the sin Envy.
Yes, correct. Do you think that those fit these films? Just yes or no?
Yeah. Which wasn't one of the options you gave me. I think it would fit to switch them. But I also think that House of Wax, I think they both fit for Envy.
Fair.
And we'll get into this.
That is fair.
And I think House of Wax might fit more for Wrath, maybe. But I think there's there's definitely envy involved in that. So
Yeah.
I think Wrath um Wrath is actually kind of a difficult one, I'm finding, because in a lot of these cases Vincent Price is just so campy and
Yeah.
goofy.
Buoyant.
He doesn't really have an angry bone, despite the fact that he's causing a lot of chaos
It's
in a
not
lot
like
of these
Javier
movies.
Bardem and No Country for Old Men.
No, no, there's not there's not any seething underneath.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could say that Dr. Phibes, which is someone
Yeah.
we'll talk about later, has
Yeah.
anger, but I do think that sin that we picked for that one
Fits
is
perfectly. Yeah.
fits fits better than a lot of things. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that. That's next episode. We'll talk about Dr.
Yeah.
Phibes.
Good old
But
Dr. Phibes.
yeah, Blake, how have you been?
I like how you paused on that.
Yeah,
Because you, sir, already know how I've been.
there's been there. Yeah, I paused on it, but you haven't paused on anything. We are
No.
recording.
We are recording 2 days. 2 days. That is 48 hours for those counting. After my father died. After 12 plus years of Alzheimer's. So don't say I haven't put forth my greatest effort this week.
You are putting the effort. You're gonna change the podcast.
It's psychological effort more than anything, which is ultimately pretty easy. Let's be honest.
I think it depends on who you ask. I think Vincent Price has quite a few characters who might disagree.
Hey, Jameson, I'm going back to Waterloo where the vampires hang out. Okay?
Did you like that movie?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
We're alluding to the movie Blackberry, which is phenomenal. I would say, and this is hard for me to say because I'm a Fincher fan through and through, but I think it's the better version of Social Network by far. Yeah, it pretty much wowed me. I was impressed.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I would say Social Network has
score.
That was exactly what I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments in that movie that just stay with me because of the score.
Yeah.
And I mean, the line that you just said sticks with me from Blackberry because of Glenn Howerton and just his incredible, wrathful portrayal.
Mm-hmm.
He would be a good instance of wrath.
Oh God, no kidding.
But yeah, I'm also. Oh my God, is it Matt Johnson? Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the director. I'm actually kind of a fan of his, even though I think he annoys me too. He seems like a very, very annoying person, but he makes interesting movies, and
He seems like he would be an annoying person in person, but it actually plays in his favor when it comes to making films.
and to his credit, this might just be a character that he plays because he's in all of his movies. But have you seen The Dirties?
No.
That I guess that has colored my image of who this person is.
Gotcha.
And he's very much a creepy, kind of unlikable guy. Anyway, so yeah. And then, did you see his second movie? I think this is only his third movie, but it was Operation Avalanche.
Nope.
I think you would like that movie.
Okay.
That is a found footage movie about the moon landing.
Oh God, that sounds like it'd be fun.
It is a lot of fun, and So,
okay.
I think he has been a hit with me, and he has another movie coming out this year called I think it's called like Nirvana, the podcast, the movie.
Oh God.
Um, because he has like a podcast about Nirvana, but it's kind of like a Tim and Eric type of
Okay.
thing. And then they eventually made a movie. So,
That is
um,
hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah.
Blake.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So my dad is dead. Now that we have that out of the way, um, yeah. Just for those listening, those of you who are listening probably have already heard from me this week, more than likely. But yeah, uh, my wife is concerned I'm not processing my emotions. So, there's that, which makes sense coming from where I came from. But I also, there's a lot of factors that go into that, I think, that are different from when my grandmother died in 2019, when I sobbed endlessly 2 separate times within quick succession, days wise, of each other. So I'm pretty sensitive in a lot of ways, but this one is hitting me weird. It's partially because I think it's really surreal. But that's beside the point. I have a really interesting story, Jameson. I want to know your thoughts on it. So my doctor of, let's see, I moved to Tulsa in 2018.
Yes.
Beginning of this year, he sent me a letter saying he was leaving the practice he was currently at and he was going somewhere else, which ended up being some kind of subscription based medical service through something. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. It seemed like stupid to me. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to go find a new doctor. So I went through this, I was just like, I don't care. I just will try someone and see how it goes. I basically picked this guy because he looked like a family friend of ours. I was like,
Hey.
all right, well, maybe it's psychologically it'll work. And so, yeah, I went to see him back in, I think it was April. That was my first time to go see him, and he seemed pretty cool. Whatever. It's through a medical system here in Tulsa called Ascension St. John, so clearly it's got a Catholic origin, more than likely. And I've been in some medical system throughout most of my life that has some kind of religious backing, one sort or another. But it's only really a name most of the time. So, anyways, yeah, I see this guy, seems pretty cool. I like him so far. But then I go to my appointment this last Thursday, and he knows I have depression. I take meds for it and whatnot, and so he's like checking in. He's like, "So how's mental health? What's going on there? You doing good? Do we need to change medication, whatnot?" And I said, "Well," so I told him about my dad.
Oh,
He hadn't
yeah.
died. He hadn't died at that point.
Which day was this again? Sorry.
This was Thursday. This is
Thursday.
literally 24 hours before he was going to die. I tell him all this, and he's like, "Yeah, that seems like a rough go." So we kind of go through the rest of the stuff, diet, all that stuff. I'm nearing 42, and so I'm getting to that point where I actually have to pay attention to cholesterol and blood pressure and all this stuff. And so we were going through all that. He was proud of me for going 5 months without caffeine or alcohol. And he said, like you said, it doesn't have to be forever, just getting a different relationship with it, all that good stuff. So generally speaking, it was a good report. So anyways, to set this up, before I give the quote unquote punchline, I want to note that at the very beginning of the meeting, he comes in with a student doctor. And he's like, he's hanging out with us, for these visits today, blah, blah, blah. Is this okay with you? I was like, of course, I don't care. And then he has a AI note taker on his phone that takes the notes from each each appointment. So he says it ultimately takes way more notes than I ever would. And so that's why I use it. I'm like, fine, whatever. And so, yeah, we go through this whole appointment, and he at the very end of the appointment, he's like, he says, yeah. So about a year yesterday, I lost my own dad to dementia, and the way you explained it to me, the fact that the way I had explained it was that it felt like those 12 plus years were compressed into a set number of days that he could pass at any moment. And so it's this like weird, surreal waiting game. Like it feels close, but not really. It feels like just another day at the same time, and you're just like, it's odd. I never could quite put words to it. And he's like, yeah, no, it makes complete sense because that's exactly how I felt in his final days. And he said, it's one of those things where, uh, you know, I didn't cry either for a long time. And then I got to his funeral. I was doing his eulogy, and I just lost it in the middle of the eulogy. He said it was not the most, wasn't the time I would have picked, honestly, but it came, and it was against my own will in that way. So he said it'll happen one way or another. But then this is the part. This is the part.
Yeah.
And it blew me over. Like I texted my wife, and I was like, holy shit, this just happened. He said, hey Blake, can I pray with you? And I was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
So he prayed, and it was a fabulous prayer. Like it wasn't like, fumbling through it, whatever. He was like, this dude has done this before.
This
Or
dude,
is like legit.
thinks about prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, thinks about this stuff. And I come out, I'm feeling like jazzed. Like because I'm thinking to myself, I didn't even think that was allowed.
Yeah.
Like by like law or something. I didn't know what.
I mean, it almost feels like kind of punk rock being in the system. Yeah.
And it would have been one thing if it had been like just him and me in the room and nothing was mic'd up. But he had a student doctor. He had his AI note taker. Like, this is on record. And he was like, yeah, whatever. Of course, he asked if I was, he couldn't remember if we had talked about whether I was spiritual or something, whatever. I was like, oh yeah, I am. And that's when he asked. I was like, so we went through this whole prayer, and he shook my hand. He's like, man, I'm really hoping it goes well for you. I've been there. So, and then that's where we ended it. And then I left, and I was like, so my question, Jameson, have you ever had that, or did you ever think that would be possible? Because it blew my fucking mind.
I mean, okay.
Real quick.
Yeah.
My last doctor was a Christian as well.
Yeah.
Never once did he pray for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know what he's doing at home.
Yeah, but he never asked to pray with me or for me in the office.
Yeah. So. No, and I do think that like we are spiritually stunted strangely like in this culture when it comes to like our business lives, because we think they're separate, and we have this like professional self that is clearly like your atheist LinkedIn self.
Yeah.
And because it's either that or it's like the kind of like made up over the top version of Christianity where it's like prayer was outlawed in school. I'm gonna post this dumb LinkedIn thing about some political bent Jesus.
Yeah.
So there's like that. But yeah, I think it's surprising because it's almost like we have kind of schizophrenia about this, where we're like, we convince ourselves that it's okay to have faith and this is an important core of our life, but we are able to create completely different avatars of ourselves that just are devoid of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's just shocking when you see these things
Incorporated.
that break down.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's very admirable, and I, you know, hope to be like a person like that too, because like you like he did it respectfully. He, you know,
Mm-hmm.
talked to you. He was like, "Hey, you know, is there an in for this? Can I do this with you?"
Yeah.
And it clearly like meant a huge amount, and like
Mm-hmm.
you got to like church together in that
Yeah.
moment. So like I think there's a lot of beauty to that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like a shame that it doesn't happen more, but it also kind of feels like part of what made it special was, you know, that maybe it wasn't supposed to be there or something like that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it just, I've never been in that space where something like that happened. Like,
Yeah.
even with doctors I knew were believers, whatever. And so it just threw me off. Now, admittedly, that may just be the policy within this medical system, and for once, like it's more than just a religious like name.
Mm-hmm.
They may actually take it seriously. I don't know how that works within our current like legislated like system of like respecting all people's traditions and whatnot. But yeah, it was wild. Um,
Yeah.
my head was spinning the rest of the day because I was just trying to piece that together. Like, how does that work? Yes. But meanwhile, I was like, that felt really nice, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that that was my brain fuck for the week.
That's
Well, I guess
cool.
not the biggest brain fuck of the week, but second biggest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've got another story for another episode too. Not anything to do with my dad. This is for a separate thing. It has to do with the podcast, actually. Funny enough. Yeah. So I don't
I
know.
like
You have
that
anything?
story. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
do I
welcome.
have anything? Um, it was a weird week. Yeah, I don't think I got much. I don't want
I
to
don't.
top that. Man, that's a great story. So,
Yeah. Uh, you know what? I think it would be a nice cap to it, though, if we
talking
talked about
about
House of Wax.
talking about sins,
Yeah.
negative spirituality. Um, is that what a sin is?
Well, whenever you said negative spirituality, this is another tangent, but here we go.
Yeah. No.
Um, I remember I taught a quote unquote adult education class at my church when I was an
Mm-hmm.
interim college minister there, and I taught it on Christianity and culture. So I basically went through different forms of culture and like how Christians have historically engaged with it, blah blah blah, and like then we kind of did an open discussion of with the group talking about like what are the pitfalls and what are the like strong suits of each type of media. And anyways, I remember when I got to music, I noted the fact that at some point I had wanted to write a paper or something on Nine Inch Nails as negative theology, because and I still think there's something to it. I don't think I would write it honestly, but I think there's something to if you listen to Nine Inch Nails music. It's so angry and visceral in the opposition to a God that it ends up being a proof for God. And so therefore it kind of becomes this negative form of theology in the sense that like if you listen to enough of it, like you'll be like, I feel like you're actually making an ad for God.
Yeah, no, I get that way when I listen to like David Bazan's later stuff
Yeah.
too.
Hmm. Hmm.
And all due respect to his spiritual journey, but even, Curse Your Branches, the breakup album with
Yeah.
God, it yeah, it didn't feel like he was disproving God at all.
No.
It was like he was like, I don't want you anymore. I'm going to continue on without you. I know you're
Hmm.
there. But I can't figure out what use you are for my life right now.
Yeah.
And it's always just felt like that. And honestly, I had heard that in some of his house shows he had talked about like recently going back to church. And I don't know where he's at and stuff, so maybe he's finding his own way.
I
But yeah.
think I think one of my friends had gone to one of his house shows at one point, and he said something to the effect of, I did Curse Your Branches, and I thought that I was done with God at that point. And he said, and over the years, I've pretty much just come to find out that he just isn't done with me. I I continue to talk about him all the time, even though I'm still not a believer in the sense that like most would consider. Um, he said he's the ghost that haunts me, basically. Um, and so, yeah, it makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
but that's beyond the
Yeah.
point.
I just meant that sins are kind of like spiritual in nature just because of what
Hmm.
what they are, but they're what you're not supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
So,
And they
um,
preclude something greater, right?
yeah.
They're
Well,
sins, and there must be
yeah.
something that can fix them, right? Hmm? I don't know.
Okay.
We should turn this
So,
pod into an evangelical, like, altar call. I'm just kidding. I don't want to do that either.
fuck no. Does that does that earn us some points away from that?
Exactly.
Okay. Good. Sorry, Mom, if you ever hear that. Sorry.
Yeah, she knows that
Uh,
you're a good person, but you don't
I
mean it.
don't know. I think my mom would listen to that and be like, "Oh my gosh." Um.
My mom
Anyway,
too.
so House of Wax and Madhouse
Yeah.
are envy and are wrath.
Yes. And
Um.
Envy is House of Wax, and Wrath is Madhouse.
Yeah.
Um, which one do you want to start with?
I mean, I think they're both kind of good to kind of. Yeah. Let's just start with House of Wax.
Okay, House
Um.
of Wax.
I had never seen this one, so
You
this is
had
my
never seen
first.
this one, okay? I had
Yeah.
seen it, but I'd forgotten most of it, so it was almost like new for me.
Yeah.
Um, certain shots I remember, but that's about it.
Do you want my ultimate feedback for this, or I
Yeah,
guess
hit me.
review? Yeah. House of Wax is very fun, and it has the best Scooby Doo moment
Hmm.
in the movies we've seen so far, and it is in fucking credible. Uh, I, I, my jaw dropped because it was just. It's not even that it makes any sense or that it's like good internal logic or anything like
Yeah,
that. It's so cinematically
yeah.
beautiful.
I'm guessing I'm thinking of the same scene you're talking about.
I hope, is it okay? Stop the podcast and watch House of Wax, maybe, if you don't
You
want the
should have
spoil.
seen it already.
Yeah, just go see it. When so okay, back up. Vincent Price, he's he's this weird genius guy that makes wax, and then his partner,
But he's an
uh
artiste.
he's an artiste, so he's soft. Um and his partner is a capitalist hard ass and wants
Hard
money
swine.
now,
Yeah.
and cold soul, and he burns his wax museum to get insurance money,
Which is a
and
horrible fucking idea.
it's just such a dumb idea. And you could even kind of see, like, in the middle of that scene, he's kind of realizing, oh, this is a bad idea. But he's committed to it, and so he's going through with it. Vincent Price burns with it.
They think he's
But of
dead.
but of course,
He's not.
if you just look at the poster of the movie and you see the name Vincent Price, you know it's not the end of Vincent Price. So fast forward, I don't know, 12 years, something like that. This guy in New York is there's like a serial killer going around. The partner is one of the first people to be murdered, and then the partner's um, fiance gets murdered, and then the lady who is living with the fiance at the time kind of gets herself involved in this, and you're able to see this shadowy figure going from place to place, being all shady. And so throughout the movie, you see this kind of disfigured, weird killer,
With a
and then
limp.
with a limp, and then you see Vincent Price returns, but he's in a
Vincent
wheelchair,
Price.
and he's got Vincent Price's face, not all burnt up, and you're like, what's going on? Who is this? And there's a couple like side characters that you're like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the murderer is this guy, maybe it's this guy. But then, right at the climax of the movie, Vincent Price is has a face off with the main character girl, and it's a literal face off where his face is revealed to be wax, and it breaks,
Yeah.
and then you see the disfigured man underneath it all.
Yeah.
But the whole time, the wax face is moving just like normal,
Yeah.
and is perfectly fine and a perfectly good Vincent Price, because it's literally Vincent Price being this, and then it just shatters, and it makes no fucking sense, but it's amazing.
Yeah. Yep. And
That's the
that
scene I was
sir,
thinking of.
that sir is what is missing from cinema today. Just
That
the balls to the wall cinematic bullshit that makes no sense but works because it feels right.
there's so much build up to it too, and there's so much, like, every piece of suspense about the movie is building to that part
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why it works, is that your brain needs this answer, and
Yeah.
the movie's like, fine, we will give you the answer. Not gonna make any sense, but this is it. And you're like, yes. And and it's just so great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I was so giddy when I watched that. It was good.
Oh man, it's so good. And it was funny because I was of two minds of the movie when I was watching it. Because there are some slow spots in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're able to kind of push through those and kind of see, enjoy Vincent Price and enjoy the other characters to some extent, then you can make your way through it. And it's not a big deal. But it's unevenly paced. But it's whenever it hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the last 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
goes real quick. Because basically everything that you're wanting to know, that your brain has been asking the whole movie, is pretty much revealed. In some of the most ludicrous ways possible. But it works. You leave this movie satisfied on every
Yeah,
level.
I was satisfied.
And can you imagine how fucking painful getting hot wax poured on your body would be.
Dude.
I mean,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
I also did find it interesting. I found myself going deep down internal mind rabbit holes around the characters he presented as wax figures in his museum, specifically Joan of Arc, which I don't know why it hit me the way it did, but it just seemed so weirdly poetic. Like, because it's the partner's fiance who he uses to create the new Joan of Arc, and she's up on a stake, and there's fire, and I think there's a guy with a torch or something. I can't remember, but she does like the face of Joan of Arc, that is this lady, actually looks almost divine. It's interesting. I found myself taken by that image. And then there's John Wilkes Booth, notorious traitor of, all that is good and holy, which he also uses a person to create. So it's just interesting, that juxtaposition, because he's ultimately trying to find the perfect woman for Marie Antoinette. Is it Marie Antoinette? Or is it Anne Boleyn? Anyways, it's one of those queens. And I think there'd be some, like, it'd be interesting to hear, like, to be a fly on the wall in the writer's room, why they picked these certain characters to portray in the movie, because it just seems so weird for them to pick these specific characters. It almost seems like it needs to have a purpose.
Yeah. And there is that kind of switch where at the beginning, when you are first introduced to his, wax figurines, these are kind of highlights of people from history, and then as things get more macabre, like he switches it to grotesque scenes, and
he became exactly what he hated at the beginning of the movie.
No.
Did you catch the 3D juggling act?
Dude, I wanted to mention this about how you never really see like paddle boarders anymore.
Nope.
Because I'm pretty sure this movie, that skill peaked in this movie. Because it was like a full 5 minutes of this guy like just doing incredible things.
And you got to see it in natural vision.
Yeah. I didn't see it in 3D. I didn't watch it in that.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That's just the name of the photography that was done, natural vision.
Yeah. Dude, that was
pretty
funny.
Nothing like seeing a bunch of balls flying in your direction in 3D.
Yeah. That was definitely like completely unnecessary to the movie, but fun. I think I watched it and was not bothered because it kept with the goofiness of the film. So
So do you think that envy fits with this film?
Yes, I think envy fits with this film.
Who is envy, and what are they envious of?
So Vincent Price is full of envy after he gets all burnt because he can't move his hands, and he loses this skill, and he wants it so badly, and he's also envious of the beauty that other people have, and I think envy fits for this one. So.
But it's interesting you say that, envy for the beauty that people have, because part of me thinks that from the beginning of the movie, that was an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it just almost in some ways, it almost like, if you think about, biblical imagery, you have this idea that fire is purification.
Mm-hmm.
And so, uh, if you think about the fact that he actually gets burned up in the fire,
Yeah.
it's burning away all but it is a negative theology. He burns away all but the one thing that was his main sin, if you want to put it that way, um, is envy. His envy of
Mm-hmm.
beauty, his envy of other what other people have. Um, I didn't think about that until just now, but if you think about the way he just fawned over his wax figurine or figure of,
Yeah.
I think it's Marie Antoinette. Um, it exceeds the just a simple respect and uh, appreciation for beauty. It becomes almost a little bit weird. Yeah,
Yeah. No, no. And I think that's an interesting take. And when he had kind of the motor skills in his hands, he was able to kind of maybe channel this envy into this creative outlet.
yeah,
But uh but when that was taken away, that envy was still there and he becomes
mhm,
this murderer.
yeah,
So I think that's an interesting kind of take on the movie. So yeah.
yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that the young sculptor didn't get his hands chopped off because the way he was admiring those hands is something to behold.
They he said a lot of nice things about those hands.
Yeah, he did.
Um yeah, no, I was also, I guess the last thing I'll say too is I it's so interesting having kind of lived through like the 90s and movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream and a lot of these movies where they're slashers and they're based on kind of slashers, but like the first slasher was like uh not first slasher, but like the one that gets cited a lot was like Halloween. Like it's not the
Mhm.
first slasher, but it's like the grandfather of all modern slashers.
It was the slasher that started the first cycle.
Yeah, yeah. But when you think about movies like the Scooby Doo type slashers,
Hmm.
it's almost like they're harkening back to this movie. This
Hmm.
is a much closer, you know, or a much more direct grandfather of
Yeah.
that. Because like, yeah, Michael Myers wears a mask, but it's like, no, that is if you unmask that, it's still pure evil. Like it's pure evil
Yeah.
with or without the mask.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's the whole point of the Michael Myers thing is the mask
Hmm.
isn't really
Yep.
doing anything. It just makes him creepier when you're watching it. But uh, but yeah, in this one, you do have kind of that like this awareness of the darkness in a
Hmm.
way, and an attempt to hide it.
Yeah.
Um, and and so it's just interesting to see how ahead of its time in a way this movie
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
with with these murder scenes and as I'm watching more like Vincent Price movies, I'm like, oh, Price was doing these things um way before like I said, the 90s and 2000s and stuff when I think about these like modern kind of gore
Yeah.
fests. So,
Well, and even if I mean, and we'll get some of it in Madhouse, but even in the later ones, you'll realize that man, Vincent Price was in some pretty gory fucking movies. Good
yeah,
lord.
yeah. So
Um,
Madhouse, just to keep us on track.
yeah.
Madhouse.
So you were a little bit mid on this one.
Okay, I'm gonna admit something. I
Okay.
fell asleep my first
Okay.
attempt to watch
Yeah.
this.
I go into most of these conversations assuming you fall asleep at some point.
Uh and
That's
I
no longer an issue for me. Like,
the first half of this movie is not good. I don't think it's very good. It gets better the second half. And it gets more okay, I think I assumed it was gonna end uh more corny than it
yeah.
did.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends very strangely.
Yes.
Um very strangely. And I think I still don't think it's a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um just me. You can have a different opinion. But like it is it it helped raise my evaluation of it when I finished the second half in continuity. So
You'll be surprised to know I also don't think it's a good movie.
okay.
I just found it more enjoyable than you did.
I still hold to what I said, which
Yeah.
is you can make this a good movie or you can make this a better movie with one simple change, and
The
that's
same.
it's the score.
Get John
With
Carpenter on the phone.
yeah, get John Carpenter on the phone, or even like Evangelise
Mm-hmm.
or Tangerine Dream. Like,
Or makeup and vanity set. Hell, might as well.
sure, like you could do that now.
Yeah.
You could do a mashup. It doesn't need an orchestral score. Get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has full 70s slasher vibes. It needs a synthy score.
Yeah.
And and really it the orchestra score isn't doing it any favors.
Yeah.
So I'm not just trying to like force it into a box. I honestly think that like that fits its mood a lot better. So
Oh, very much so. And I think what you're seeing is them trying to incorporate some of the giallo effect from Italian cinema
hmm
into English film, with these classic actors. And it's interesting because if you if you look at um, what I found humorous at the beginning, especially when they were doing like the tribute clips of Vincent Price,
hmm
or Vincent Price's characters, they're all black and white videos of his old films, like
of his
films
old
that
film.
came before, and it was that was a fun touch. I enjoyed that
Yeah.
aspect of it. But I didn't see. I remember back when I think this probably would have been around 2012 ish. I was still occasionally doing my 30 days of horror where I'd watch a horror film every night
Mm.
for the all of October. And I watched this one at one point. I remembered very little about it. I remembered enough to know that it had to do with an actor who got gypped or something and he took his revenge. I did not remember how this ended. And did you expect that ending?
No. I mean, I knew it wasn't. So, it's not Vincent Price who's doing all the
No.
murdering. It's someone else. And you knew that, if you were paying attention, there's a little bit of like, is he going crazy and just doing it
Yep.
when he's crazy? Uh, but no. He it is Peter Cushing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whoever whatever his character is in this movie,
Who
but
actually needed money?
yeah, he's actually the writer of the Doctor Death films, which is
Mm-hmm.
who the character that Vincent Price becomes famous for in
Yeah.
this movie, and he's full of, yes, you guessed it, envy. Not
Mm-hmm.
wrath, but he transforms that envy into wrath by murdering
Mm-hmm.
people. Um,
Boy,
but
does he.
yeah, and yeah, I think I was surprised at some of the deaths. I think there, there's a lot of squishing deaths
Yeah.
in these movies, which is really funny.
They're big fans of squishing back in the 70s.
Yeah, they were some big fans of squishing. I wonder if it was like, I don't know, what was going through the zeitgeist. Um,
I'll tell you what was going through the zeitgeist. Vietnam War.
that's that is true. That is true. Um, but yeah, I do want to mention. I think it is interesting. And I was talking to some friends about this. You mentioned how they would like show these clips of old Vincent Price movies, and
Mm-hmm.
I think there's also a scene where he's on like a talk show, and the talk show host keeps showing clips from old movies, and one of them is actually Pit and the Pendulum, which is what one we're covering this month.
Yeah.
But I was like I was talking to a friend, and they were like, "Oh, I feel like I've slept on Vincent Price," and I was like, "Yeah, it's really interesting because he got to be kind of one of the originators of like
Yeah.
campy horror, but then he also got to this point where they were doing like he was in meta movies about his career, and so it was like he got to do like this victory lap, on
Yeah.
his career, which must have just been such a trip for him. But he just seemed like a good sport the whole time too, which I think was what was awesome. Um,
Yeah. I was looking up something to make sure before I noted something to you, but I think I just now in this moment remembered that we have a connection between this movie and a past Spooktacular series.
ooh, we do.
Do you know which one it is?
Um, what were our
Because you brought up the talk show. Think about who was doing the talk show with Vincent Price in this movie.
Oh, I do not remember who it was.
Michael Parkinson. Who was
Oh,
Michael Parkinson?
was he in Ghostwatch?
Yes.
This makes so much sense. Because, yes, so Madhouse is a British
Yep.
film.
Mm-hmm.
And the Brits love their realism when it comes to media representation.
They do.
So they had an actual media guy. That's interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you pointed that out.
When
That's
it
cool.
literally it just hit me. I was like, I remember seeing his name on there. What did he play? Oh, it's the talk show host. That's what it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
that's cool. Good.
So,
Dazzling deep, Blake.
man,
Dazzling deep.
I do my best. I do my best under duress.
So, Blake, uh, what was your favorite death in this movie?
The bed squishing.
Yeah, the bed squishing was
I mean,
pretty
it's so
cool.
good. It's
It
like
was
Vincent Price trying to hit the button because he's an old man. He's like, I can't hit it. I can't.
old man squishes person into a cloud. How does that? I
And
don't
then
know.
almost gets squished himself in the same way. Yeah. What was yours? Was it the bed?
Yeah, it was probably the bed. That was that was just so ridiculous. I was just like, oh my god, why would you make something like this? But that was good. I did like Peter Cushing's death. Because so there's there's this like weird side plot that actually becomes part of the main plot about this girl that like is in love with Vincent Price's character, Paul Toombs.
Mhm.
Oh, we
All
should
tunes.
mention that his name is Paul Toombs. I just remembered. Great name.
Oh,
Um,
excellent name.
Paul Toombs. So there's this like side plot about this girl that's always been in love with Paul Toombs, but
Wait, wasn't she one of his
I don't.
starlets?
I feel like it doesn't make it completely
Yeah, it doesn't make any
clear.
sense. And how
Maybe
she
at
became the way she is, like,
Yeah, but she like goes crazy in the time that he's going crazy, and she becomes a literal Spider Woman.
Yeah,
Not like Spider-Man Spider Woman, but like
yeah,
someone who just hangs out with spiders all day, um,
yeah.
and cares for them. And she's
Like a
allowed,
cat lady, but with
yeah,
spider.
and then she's also somehow allowed to live like underneath the set or
Yeah,
somewhere. Um, anyway, but she's still in love with Paul, and her and Paul devise a way to kill Peter Cushing's, and then they get him and they just let him drop into a bunch of spiders, and the spiders eat him.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Which
what?
is not actually a very good plan, but
No, no, it works because
it
that
works in this instance. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, did okay. So I will admit, like you, I got really sleepy in the last 15 minutes of this movie. So it could have just been my sleepiness causing this effect. But in the final shot of Vincent Price, when he's sitting at the table with the spider lady, and they're chuckling or whatever they're doing at the very end before the credits happen, does he not look kind of like Peter Cushing?
No, so that's what
Or is it
happens.
Peter Cushing?
It's no, it's Vincent Price. He sits there and he paints his face. So, okay, this is why the movie just goes complete
Ah, shit.
like batshit. It jumps the shark. Um, Peter Cushing is doing all of this to get rid of Vincent Price, Paul Toombs,
Mm,
because he wants to play Doctor Death. And
gotcha.
Paul
Yeah.
Toombs finally like somehow burns himself up in a scene that looks like it came from House of Wax, that is probably a
Hmm.
reference to House of Wax. Um, in fact, there are wax sculptures melting in
Yep.
that scene. So he goes away, is supposedly dead, and Peter Cushing gets the role of Doctor Death, and everyone thinks that Paul Toombs is dead. But Paul Toombs is alive somehow, which they don't actually explain. He just shows up, and him together with Spider Lady kill Peter Cushing's. And so I guess what the plan is that Vincent Price is going to continue playing Doctor Death, but he's not going to
As Peter
reveal
Cushing.
that he's still alive. Instead, he's going to make up himself to look like Peter Cushing's, which is what he
Okay.
does in the movie. And so, yeah,
So I clearly missed something there in my
it
sleepiness.
they don't explain it at all. So they
But
don't
I
explain that.
I kid you not. I backed it up. I was like, okay, I am struggling to stay awake right now, but I need to know, like, was it Peter Cushing at the end? Because it looks like Peter Cushing, but his face is kind of round, like it's Vincent Price. I'm trying to figure this shit out, and I'm like, what is going on?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was Peter Cushing in that scene doing his best Vincent Price impersonation
Okay,
because that's probably easier to do than painting Vincent Price's
that's
face
fair.
like Peter Cushing. But through the
But
magic of cinema,
it was so surreal though because
yeah.
it doesn't look like Peter Cushing is like because Peter Cushing's face is very like it's
Oh
very
yeah.
long and sallow and like and the
Hmm.
fact that it looked fuller more like Vincent Price at that time. And I was like, what is going on here? So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a pretty surreal end to the movie, and while it doesn't work quite as well as the unmasking in House of Wax, it's at least a similar kind of swinging for the you know
I will say these movies don't end as you expect, and I think that's something that is missing from a lot of movies these
yeah
days. Is like they're just so into tidying things up,
yeah
and maybe it's maybe it's hindsight because I don't remember all of the movies that end poorly from, back then because
Yeah.
that's, I don't see them. I
Mhm.
just see the movies that are much more interesting, like the
Yeah.
Vincent Price movies. But, you know, yeah, it just goes to show you don't need a movie that wraps everything up nicely.
No.
You can do something that makes it more surreal. So,
And you can jump the shark well.
yeah. Yes. That yeah, no, I think that's a really important thing, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about the
Yeah,
campiness in
very
at
much so.
play here. But I think that's for another episode.
Very
I do
much
think
so.
we got to finish this one.
Yes. So, bye.
Bye.